Good evening, everybody. I've been prompted by my colleagues to start a bit earlier to reward you for your very good attendance and punctuality. So I'll get started now. Thank you so much for coming out this evening, and a really warm welcome to Year 7, as being Year 7 parents at Haysfield. And obviously seeing you before the summer when we were talking about introducing them and welcoming, still in that primary school mode. And I certainly sure it's been a bit of a roller coaster of emotions since we last met to where you are now. And there's been quite a roller coaster of emotions, I think, certainly from Monday morning, mainly from the parents. But once you went, it was absolutely fine. So don't worry. But they have done brilliantly, and we're going to obviously talk more about them. And that was the kind of start on Monday morning, all full of energy, confident. They are confident. They're certainly scaring some of the older students more, I think. But we're just living like map posts, really. They're very good at asking for directions of where to go and having all sorts of conversations. So they have settled in so well and so quickly. Genuinely is always such a big start for Year 7, but our Year 12s as well coming in, and actually I'm so impressed at how quickly I'm standing here talking to you on day 4, how quickly they've settled in. After the amount of commutes they've done, after doing PE, after doing everything else, by the time you get them home tomorrow, they'll probably look more like that. And I say every time I speak to any parent, I go, they are tired. They're tired. I know. I've been there to know what it's like. My daughter started Year 7 last year, and it is shattering. I think it's just all the emotions and the emotional roller coaster and everything, all the worries and everything that they had building up to that is always going to come to that. But I think they'll sleep well this weekend. So if you've got really big plans, you might find them dozing off in the corner somewhere. That's part of where they are. And here they are. Here is Year 7 on that very first morning at about 8:32 after we got them all together and all in. And wow, they just look so smart. And I said, I'm sure they've all been broadcast around social media that morning with the amount of photos of that first day at secondary school. And so they should be, because they were absolutely smashing. And it was just a joy to see them. Well, I'll probably be sticking something similar on the bulletin tomorrow as well, so you can see a closer picture there. So we split you into the left and right. We thought we'd start that competition early between the parents, see which side's the best, and I'll count them in each side and announce the results later. But it's very lovely that a lot of you did come on your own, but we just know that if we had 2 parents coming for each, we really wouldn't have managed it in here. That's 480 we're trying to fit into this space. So it feels a bit nicer having 2 spaces, but what it does mean is we're going to talk and then we're going to disappear and we're going to run upstairs, try not to arrive out of breath. I'll obviously spring in there like it's a normal thing for me. So that's why we'll keep sliding out, but people will keep sliding in and appearing on the seats. So it'll be seamless. You won't notice anything, to be able to provide you really with a program. But what we've tried to do this evening is using the experiences we've had, experiences that we know for parents, and sort of building on where we were in July, is talking to you about the things that we think make a difference to you, that perhaps the questions that you've got, the areas that you'd like some more help and support with, or some of the things you'd like to do. Now, I know it's again a bit of information overload. We are recording this. Remember that, actually. We are recording this, so it will be on the website, and it might be something for you to go back to. Hopefully all the information you're getting is just backing it up and giving you all you need. I know we don't want to overwhelm, and it's something I've been aware of as well, being through that process. Sometimes the emails seem to come a bit thick and fast, so we do try and make sure that we're kind of keeping the traffic fairly minimum, or spacing it out a bit. But apologies if you seem to get a spate of emails. It's particularly the ones where you've got to register for new things, which I know must be the thing that fills you with most joy, and sometimes I don't junk folders and all sorts of things. So I did say, can we try and warn them they're coming so that they can check in various folders to see if those things have come through. But we know that it seems to be going very successfully so far in the sign-ups and the things that have happened. So I'll just give you a little welcome and just a little celebration of some of the things that I'm very proud of, and from where we were, as I said, when we last saw you. And you've got key members of the senior leadership team, some members of the pastoral team. We've got Miss Walger, our literacy coordinator. So we've got lots of different people who are going to be talking to you this evening, and hopefully it will give you kind of all the key information and the confidence that we're all over this and that it's going to be fine. And the occasional hiccups, like the very long queue, the time it took them to have lunch yesterday. I blame partly their own decision making, but we've had our own new till system put in and everything else, so everyone was having a bit of fun. But they all got an extended lunch, I think, so I think they didn't feel too bad about that, because we wanted to make sure they had time to digest it before we put them into lessons. But they took it with such good faith. They were not worrying about it at all, and that was really lovely to see. So me to talk about, really, and I've done this to every year group as an assembly and said, what did you do this summer? And I think I'm just getting the mickey taken out because I keep showing pictures of dolphins off the Cornish coast. See, I got it in. I said I'd get my dolphins in. But, for 2 year groups in our community, their summer was all about that moment of that envelope opening. And this is from the A-level results day, and the images that came through from that day, and the roller coaster of emotions. The weirdest thing is we go through that every year, but it's everyone, it's an individual experience, and everything building up, and you talk about the 7-year journey to get to that point, and it's just mad, because that year group now is starting on a whole new journey, going all over the world, all over the UK, and they're about to set off to universities, and it just, and I know I scared a lot of you by saying how quickly it goes when you bring them in now, but wanted really just, and about the partnership and about the coming together. And for me, it's especially important, the parents and how they feel, because they're the ones who've been there supporting, who've been holding up, who've been getting everyone to stay out of the way before those big exams when the stress was really hitting, and it's just walk away. Something's ticking there. Let's not push that. But I mean, all of those things again will train you in resilience, and will train you in moral courage, and all of our values, because it's so important to have all those things together, and all those things, working together, and to get that result, to get that smiling faces, to get that happiness. And of course, it's not always happiness, it's not always joy, but it's about being there to support them. And trust me, I'm not going to throw loads of stats at you about how wonderful everything's been, but we are so proud of this cohort to come through without. I didn't do GCSE exams. They had to skip over that, because that was the cohort we just walked in, like literally said, you're going now, goodbye, you're not doing your GCSEs, the government just announced it. And that, was a massive shock to them, but they achieved such wonderful things in what they did. But for me, and I guess it's just showing you the experiences we bring on different parts of the journey, which is why I wanted to share this with you. 93% got their first choice university place or course. It wasn't all university places in any way whatsoever. And in a time of the media frenzy that we've been seeing this summer, where it's not, they're not getting those places, and it's, it's not happening, it's going to foreign students, or it's going where the university taking the money. Our students got those places, and the 7% that didn't all finished that day. No one was left standing or on their own, and was supported through some for their insurance choices, or various decisions that they were making, and we've been there to support them through that. So that's what I'm most proud of, and a little hint of some of the things that they've been doing, just again, because this is the problem when you start talking to your children. I'm sure you've already done it, where you go, but in my day it was like this, and in my day it's like that. Yeah, it gets even worse as they get older, because A-levels changes dramatically, and then university and what's out there now is getting very different. So I have to try and keep up to make sure I'm not sounding like some old fogey when I talk to them. But it's, but we have an expert team in place who really know what's going on. But the fact that we now have law apprenticeships, degree apprenticeships, we've got the Airbus engineering apprenticeships. These things are brilliant, and we've got 3 Norland nannies, which I just love. They're across the road from us, and that's just brilliant to know that some of our students are making that jump across the road, and no doubt doing speed driving courses and how to avoid hostage situations and things like that. It seems to come with being a Norland nanny. And our medics and our vets and our nurses, it's everything, you name it, they're off out about to do that around the world. And then GCSE results, again, when I've talked about this to the students, and I talked to the staff actually using this same pictures, and actually for us, again, this the personal stories attached to every single one of those, because that's what you're undergoing, that's what your daughter's undergoing. It's a personal journey, and it's very much about, hopefully, we can show you that we will get to know her, and this will be about her and her journey, and the support that we're going to give her, and the individual support that she'll need at different times, in different ways. And again, we had a stonking year. I did get in a lot of photos. I got a lot of grief when I appeared on Facebook on various photos and stuff, but it's my job, isn't it? I get to do all the nice stuff, pretend it's me, don't worry about everyone else. But, again, it's so wonderful to see that. And a lot of what happened on GCSE and A-level results day, was down to their hard work, was down to their determination and their determination to succeed and take advantage of all the support that was offered to them. And again, you know, we're quietly excited about, I mean, performance tables, yeah, I mean, I'll be mean about them when I don't think we've done so great, but I'll big them up when I think we're looking quite good on them. But we will see how it looks when it comes out. But in terms of the progress, at the bottom one there, that every student on average made better progress than a kind of national measure, the national baseline. And that's what we're most proud of. From whatever their start point, they made more progress than they would have been expected to make on a national benchmark measure. And that is what this is about. It's about the individual journeys. Yes, I can talk about sevens, but actually the grade fours for us as well, those door openers, getting as many students to be able to walk into the next stage of their career path and be able to move forwards. It's behind me, is it? And again, this is a mantra we've had for a couple of years because it's about everybody together. It's about the whole team at Haysfield. It's about our admin team. It's about our support staff. It's about the cleaning team. It's about everybody coming together to create the best environment for success and being able to use our resources as best we can, being able to bring everything together to bear for the students and working together with parents and, you know, with the students to really form that triangle of success. And it is all about that. And we've, you know, when we get it and we work on it and we're so proud of that. And I'm so proud of the team here and what we're achieving and what we're getting for the girls and the boys in the sixth form as well. And I wanted just to celebrate that and be a bit big-headed because I want you to know that we are so confident and experienced and, you know, we know what it takes to get there and we know that the journey can be bumpy and sometimes it can feel like it's going sometimes awry, but you've got people here who have been through that with other students who know those paths can go a bit wrong sometimes, but we're there for them and we're there to support them. And I think that's really important. I'll always talk about the vision because it is more than just something on a website or, you know, put in a prospectus because it means something to us. And tonight, I've just done a rehearsal just after school. I walked in on Monday into assemblies, and I think the year sevens, that was a bit overwhelming, but I said if anyone would like to do a speech for prospective parents evening on Tuesday, if you'd like to talk, because it's nice to have a year 7 and a year 10, and there's some year 7s who are doing it tomorrow, but they've written these speeches. But the year 10s, I had 6 year 10s who wrote the speeches all off their own back, and then they just did this. They literally stood here about 3:30 where we had a little judging panel, and we were there just to hear it. And they've all talked about values, and whether they thought that I needed to tell them what they were talking about. One talks about you've got to like purple by the time you've been here a few years. It is a prerequisite of what you like. But actually, what I'm proud of is, and we do talk about these in assemblies and stuff. But I said to them on Monday and Tuesday in assemblies to every year group, this is what we believe are the ingredients that help that success. You know, if we're accused of being an exam factory, I'd like to see how you be an exam factory without building all the component parts that enables the product to come out in the way that it comes out, because it's the whole child, it's the whole experience, it's their enjoyment, it's everything that comes with it. And that's what we're undertaking with your daughter at the start of this journey, to bring all those aspects together to hopefully that she walks out of here successful, achieving for her and moving forwards, and that you can turn and say to us after 5 and 7 years, she's moved on, she's grown up, she's, you know, thank you so much for what you've done. And we'll repeat that back to you, because obviously it's down a lot to you guys in what happens, but it's that partnership that we really want to grow and cultivate. I think that's me done now. You see, that wasn't bad, was it? They're all, if she started coughing or got a hook out, I knew I was done for. But I'm off to see the other lot, so thank you so much. We'll be around at the end to take any questions and queries, and I'd just love to hand over to Miss Cording.
Thank you, sir.
Do you want me to lower it?
Right, well, welcome. I'm Natalie Cording. You have all received a letter from me this week explaining the curriculum, and I know it's probably led to more questions because some of you have been in contact with me already about it. But what I'm hoping to do this evening with my achievement team, which I'll introduce some of them in just a moment, is just explain some of it a little bit further. If you have any questions afterwards, just let me know. So, as Mr. White said, the Team Awesome thing really is a collective achievement. It is the girls, but it's pastoral support. I know we talk a lot about our exam success, but he's completely right. We don't get that unless they are healthy and happy, and all the pastoral care that happens alongside. You guys will be blown away as you go through our school about how much support is put in place to make sure that we were just trying to work it out. I think your guys are the class of 2027.
Yeah.
So in 2027 they'll be getting their GCSE results, and then 2029 their A-level results, and just making sure that they're super successful. And that will come around very, very quickly. So in terms of the achievement team, I'm sure you've met Mr. Dixon and Mrs. Venables. They will come along in a moment. They will speed in and talk to you about the year ahead. There's Mrs. Sales, who's the Key Stage 3 Achievement Lead, a new role this year. There's myself, Miss Charnot, who does all the reporting and examinations, sort of the logistics of it, making sure that it all comes together okay. Miss Hayden, who I'd like to introduce, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
So I'm Miss Hayden. So there are several faces in the crowd here that I recognise because I've been working with you already, and it's lovely to see you again here this evening. But I know that there's going to be more parents out there that are questioning whether or not the information's come up from primary school about their daughters, whether or not we've got everything we need to make sure that we can put all the support in place. If at any point you think that your daughter needs any extra support, or you think there's any kind of needs that need to be investigated, I'm the person that you come to. So drop me an email. You'll find my email all over the website and you can't miss it. And then we can sort out a meeting. I think there's going to be some of you that I'm hoping to meet in the next couple of weeks because we haven't met already and you're on my radar. So I look forward to meeting you at some point in the future. And for several of you, I may have absolutely nothing to do with you over the next few years, and that's fabulous too. Thanks.
So it's all the key achievement team, but obviously, like I said, group effort, so it's all the tutors, it's all the pastoral support, and indeed yourselves as well. Making sort of real teamwork does make the dream work when it comes to making sure that your girls get the very, very best. So what we're going to talk about in this little section is about curriculum and assessment, what subjects your daughter is doing. You'll have a timetable, and I'm sure there are some codes on there where you're thinking, what on earth is that? Mrs. Sales will tell you what some of those are. And we're going to talk a little bit about just the reporting process, and then what you'll start to see in their exercise books, and what you'll start to see as a report, because it's a whole new terminology when you come into Hayesfield in Year 7. Some of you who've already got daughters in our school will already know about the E- to the M+, so you'll be au fait with it, so apologies if we're teaching you to suck eggs on that one, but for some of you it will be totally new. So the Year 7 curriculum, initially, I'm sure, because they had summer work to do about the Who Am I project, that very much is a piece of transition work that brings them through from Year 6 into Year 7 and really helps kind of like soften that blow of the jump up to secondary school. And from that, we'd like to get those foundations really nice and tight so they feel secure in their subjects, and then they move on into Year 7 and then, throughout the school so that they can be as successful as they possibly can. And it really, really is a journey. And at this point, I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Sales, and she's going to talk to you about sort of the learning journey and the character journey. Okay, Miss.
Well, thank you. Good evening, I'm Mrs. Sales, Key Stage 3 Achievement Lead, and I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the journey that your daughter's going to have at Hayesfield. So as Mr. White said, we really pride ourselves at Hayesfield that our journey isn't just learning based, that we also have a journey as an individual. So we also have a character journey, and this means that we have lots of opportunities throughout your daughter's stay at Hayesfield to do lots of different things. So at the moment they're starting off in Year 7, and you'll hear about leaps, and they'll be going on camp, and you've got all those things going on, and there'll be lots of opportunities to be on school council and to be different reps for different things. And as your daughter goes through the school, so this time next year, lots of your daughters will have applied and gone through the school buddy system and be helping support the next load of Year 7s. And there's a whole different range of different things. So we pride ourselves that when your daughter leaves Hayesfield in quite a few years' time, that they will have a whole range of different experiences that they've had here, which are very Hayesfieldized. We pride ourselves on both, and of course especially our learning journey as well, which I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about. Lovely. So we planned on the 7-year journey because, you know, we like to keep as many as possible because we have lots of, it's a long way in the future yet, but when they reach the end of their GCSEs, we have lots of different opportunities available at Hazefield for all our students to choose from. So we see it as a 7-year journey. And in year 7 and 8, we have a really broad and balanced curriculum. So there'll be lots of exciting things they'll be doing. They'll be making stuff. They'll be reenacting stuff. There'll be lots of different things that are going on. Then when it gets to year 9, that's when we start thinking about GCSEs. So that's when your daughter and you will be involved in looking at all the different options available and finding the best path for your daughter to follow. And that will be very exciting. And then we move on to Key Stage 4, years 10 and 11. We have our GCSE years. And that's when we'll be looking at getting those students through that process and getting them the best grades possible to go on to their next step. And then, of course, we have our sixth form years, where students might choose to go on to A-levels or other options that we have available. So it's a whole 7-year journey that we're looking at for Hazefield. Now, I suspect, hopefully you've had the chance to look at your daughter's timetable, and you're probably quite hypnotised by the amount of subjects and things that they're going to be doing. But I know there are lots of different codes. You might be thinking, oh, well, that looks interesting, but I have no idea what it is. So just to give you an update on the different subjects that your daughter will be studying at Hazefield. So we have art and computing, dance, which is always extremely popular here, design and enterprise, which is a wonderful subject where they'll get to make and do lots of really interesting things. And I know, you know, parents, you'll get to see lots of great things that they bring home. I know my daughter made some wonderful pyjamas that her favourite things at home at the moment. So they'll get to do a whole range of different things. English, of course, that will be, you know, you'll be used to this carrying on from primary school. The opportunity to do a language, learn some French, which is a very interactive subject. Then we have our humanities. We have our history, geography. We have philosophy and beliefs, which is at primary school, quite often they're called RS. And we look at religions, but now it's worldviews, so we look at a whole range of things there. Then music, it doesn't matter if your daughter doesn't play an instrument because we have so many opportunities here, and I'm sure they'll get a real love. And as your daughter goes through the school, if you have older siblings, you'll see we have loads of different events here. You know, we have Hazefield Got Talent, which is a huge event here, and so many opportunities. And if your daughter likes to sing, we have lots of opportunities there. And you'll get to hear a bit more about that later in the year when we have our concert, which is, you know, we're really, really pleased with at Hazefield. Lots of great opportunities. Masterclass, which is great because students get to pick something else which is not curriculum-based, but something else that can enrich them as an individual. PHSE is fantastic. It gets students to learn about things that are important to them, how they can make healthy choices. Friendships, if you're starting to worry or have any worries at some point about friendships, we cover all of that in PHSE at different times. So if there are any problems, then we get to cover it. So that's really exciting. Science, and if your daughter is an achievement first, you will probably know about that already, and that's targeted at humanities, maths, and English. So your daughter's going to have an incredible journey at Hazefield, which is really exciting.
Kind of explains why she's going to be so tired on Friday with that photo that Mr. White showed, doesn't she, with all those subjects. So I did explain on the letter that you got how we kind of grade or kind of assess the girls when they come in, and it was through their SATs this year. So we actually had SATs data to work on, plus their CATs and the reading test, but essentially it was based on the SAT scores. So that's what's sort of banded them into their English, maths, science and French sets. And hopefully you understood the explanation in the letter. What's going to happen in PE, music, dance and art over the period of term 1 is that they will be assessed in those individual subjects. Other schools, what they do is go, oh, let's do an average of English and maths, and then they put them in the same art set as they might be for an average of English and maths. We don't do that. We take the fact that everyone's got different strengths. So you might be sort of, you know, an amazing artist, but your maths isn't so great. So we just make sure that they're in the right place and they get the right experience. So they will be having some baseline assessment data in there. It's nice and gentle. It's not like a formal exam or anything. And then they get put into their right groupings. These flight paths, which I'll talk to you a little bit more about, so they range from emerging, rising, mastering, and then they're graded in between. Those sort of like are the bandings of what the girls are likely to achieve when they leave us in year 11. So I'll show you that in just a moment. English, Maths and Science and French are set. Art, dance, they're in their tutor groups. Design, enterprise, geography and history are mixed ability. Okay, that's to really give the girls sort of a mixed diet, so they're not always with the same students all the time. So we kind of use a mixture of the tutor groups and mixed ability groupings. So these flight paths that I was talking about, these are the sort of, if they're emerging, their expected grades in year 11 are 1 to 3. You can read as well as I can. Rising is 4 to 6, mastering is 7 to 9. And then, like I say, in between that, we've got like E minus, E plus, R minus, R plus, etc. Okay, so you'll get used to this terminology because it's how all their work is graded, okay, in terms of E's, R's and M's, and it's how they're reported against as well. So they will have lots of assessments. Some will be formal, some will be what we call low stakes, so little sort of tests, you know, spelling tests and things like that, recall tasks, not big ones, but they're just to kind of continuously monitor how they're doing. And this is a flight path. You're going to see, hopefully you've already seen some really snazzy exercise books, which are just super great and actually new for this year. Inside every one that she has will be their flight path to success. So when they get an assessment, they will track how they're doing on their flight path to see if they are on target to meet their end of year 11 grade. Okay. In terms of what you'll get from us, you will get reports home. Do you want to talk about that? Or yeah, go for it.
Thank you. So you will hear from us. So we have a wonderful event that's coming up in November where you get to meet the tutor, and this is a really great opportunity. So you won't be meeting all the teachers, but you'll get a one-to-one with the tutor, and that gives you an opportunity to talk through how things are going, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, to hear what your daughter's up to, and that's a really nice event. So that's something to really look forward to. Now, formal reports, when you hear from us how your daughter is doing academically, you'll hear from us in term 2 and you'll hear from us in term 5. And of course, again, then, if you have any questions, we can follow those things up for you. But it's a great opportunity to see how your daughter's progressing at Haysfield. Then we have a parents' evening, which is really exciting, and that's your opportunity where you can speak to the subject tutors that your daughter has, and we'll be having that in March. So we've got quite a lot of important stages to go through, and hopefully you'll really enjoy it. But your next one, Meet the Tutor, is a really incredible thing to look forward to.
I guess the final thing from me is just trust us, okay? You saw we got great results. We know what we're doing. We know how to develop confident, happy, healthy, successful girls. If you have, you don't have to wait for reports to find out how your daughter's doing. Look through her exercise book, talk to her tutor, talk to Mr. Dixon. You can contact the school at any point if you've got any questions, okay? Just email in to information@Haysfield and they'll forward it on to the correct person.
Hi, I'm Mr. Shorter, or Anthony Shorter. I'm the new assistant head teacher for teaching and learning at Haysfield. And I think the first thing to say is one of the drivers, one of the things that brought me to want to come to Haysfield is the grounding that there already is in terms of teaching and learning. I kind of get the glamorous bit because Miss Cordin, Miss Sells talk about the curriculum, the assessment that obviously your daughter runs through. And that's really powerful. But this is the bit that gets them to unlock that knowledge, to get through that curriculum, to pull through those assessments and essentially nail their learning and get those outstanding results that Haysfield pride itself on. So what I want to really quickly talk to you about is what we do at Haysfield in order to unlock that knowledge and provide the best possible teaching and learning. We have a framework. This is well before I came here, and it's kind of worked exceptionally well over the last few years, and I think it's something that drew me to the school in terms of the ease in which we kind of simplify the learning and teaching process. If you look at kind of the background to it, it's very straightforward. There are 3 kind of pillars to what we do, and it comes in almost in a circle. We mark, we plan, and we teach. And what we do is we look at your daughter's work and we analyse it, we mark it. We sometimes feedback in a written way, we sometimes feedback in a verbal way. But what we're always doing with that is seeing where they're at the end of a lesson. All lessons are built on the idea of assessing that knowledge, that cultural capital, and that process through the curriculum. Now, if through our kind of analysis of that, we deem that there's something missing, there's a misconception in there, we work to plan what we do to deal with that issue. And sometimes we're going to work through and we're going to be really successful, and we're going to zip through a curriculum, and we're going to basically use all of our fantastic kind of engaging strategies in our planning to use group work, to use various different methods of teaching and learning, beyond simply kind of rote styles, to get the best out of your daughter. But when we do that, we're always in mind of how well they are progressing, and we're using that marking to inform our planning to then run into our teaching. And it's very straightforward. We plan that lesson to teach using the techniques that we know work. The one thing we don't do at Haysfield is to use kind of those fads. We research, we understand what has worked well in the past, what works well now, to get that learning unlocked. So it may be perhaps that we focus on aspects of literacy, as Miss Wall was going to talk about. We're going to bring those keywords out, and we're going to use that in our lesson consistently. We're going to use consistent styles of tasks to bring that knowledge retrieval. And when we know it works, we use it to then plan and inform what we're going to do next. And it's a fantastic process for me to go into classrooms, to see people kind of looking at their students' work, informing what they do, to change their practice if they need to develop what they're doing, is a real pleasure. Having worked in other schools for a number of years, it's always really a privilege to see how various different professionals work to improve progress. Now, what we try to do in terms of our mantra to the students is remove some of the barriers that we have through our teaching and learning. We want to engage minds. We want our teaching and learning to be engaging, to have strategies, to get really exciting tasks into play. It might be a variation of task, it may well be debate, discussion. We want to engage those minds and get people involved in what they do. We also want to involve every student. What we don't want to see is people opting out. We want people to opt in. And so we work to kind of question everybody in the class, draw those answers out, praise, encourage, and develop your daughter to have the confidence to do anything, to smash those ambitions, to smash those ceilings. We challenge expectations. We don't want students to just kind of take everything on face value. We don't want people to kind of just believe one set of ideas. We want people to challenge different views. We also want them to challenge themselves. We don't want them to feel as if there is a set limit to what they can do. We're always aspiring to achieve higher. And what we encourage in our lessons for the girls, through the stretch and challenge that we provide, is that they always aspire beyond kind of that basic analysis. We want to stick the learning as well. We're going to use a lot of knowledge retrieval strategies. We're going to do low-stakes quizzing, engaging quizzing. It's not going to be kind of constant testing of knowledge. It's going to be bringing out and retrieving that information on a kind of an early basis in lessons, to keep them always looking to review the links between their curriculum. Because it's all well and good having a curriculum, just going through it. What you really want to do is have it stick, go back to things, make sure that what you did in year 7, you also know in year 8. And we're going to check that, we're going to test that. And obviously what we do, as Miss Cording has noted, is we track progress, and that is also going to be informing the planning that we do. So when we're looking at how the progression is going, how it's going through the flight path, if we've got a problem, we work with the students to improve that process. We talk to our students, we differentiate our approach to suit their learning needs, and we work with them to ensure the highest level of progress based on the tracking that we do. We also celebrate success. One of the things that we want to see in the classroom is people praised, rewarded for achieving beyond what their expectations are. And really work to make sure that we celebrate the success that we see in the classroom. We also use the Haysfield values in our lessons. In the way that we manage our classroom, we expect readiness and respectful behaviour. We want our students to have moral courage, and through our curriculums and through our teaching and learning, we want to push the idea that students challenge things that are wrong. We want self-confidence, and that's kind of shown through the way in which we want to develop those engaging lessons. We want students to challenge aspirations and to go beyond what they think they can achieve. Have the self-confidence to always kind of jump to the front, to opt in to everything they do. We value resilience as well. We want our students to take that mistake and own it, learn from it. One of the things I say to my students, whether in year 7 or year 12, is actually there is no wrong answer. There is something that you can learn from. And actually having the ability to do that without worrying is a really important skill, I think. And the final thing is that link back. We want our students to have limitless aspirations and see that in our teaching and learning. We want to see our teachers engaging with them to believe beyond that expectation, to go beyond their limits, to do whatever they want to do. And we promote that in what we do in our classrooms through our objectives and through everything that is in our kind of teaching and learning framework. And actually one of the things that the students should be aware of is that learning should be hard. And it's not that, you know, we want to make it deliberately tricky. We want them to challenge themselves. Successful students love learning. They seek challenges, they value effort, and they persist in the face of obstacles. And I think that is a really powerful quote. The idea that learning should be hard, but it shouldn't be something that should be scary. We want everybody to kind of push forward and challenge themselves to be the best that they can. So what does this mean in practice? We want time in lessons to take risks. We want our staff to take risks. We want our students to take risks. We want to encourage mistakes to be learnt from. And we want to recognise and reward that effort. When a mistake has happened, but they've powered through it and they've smashed the next assessment, that's something we want to celebrate. We're never going to expect every time things to be nailed down. But what we do want to do is see feedback used and use our kind of planning processes to help the students achieve the best next time. When you create the opportunities to extend that learning within the lesson, you've completed that task, but that's not enough. Actually, you should be aiming for higher. There's no limit to where you can go. That's what we want through our teaching and learning. We want the power of yet. If children basically claim that they can't understand something or cannot do something, we need to remind them that ultimately they can't do it yet. It's all about yet. It's a process. They've seen the curriculum maps, they're in the front of these brilliant exercise books. You're not there yet, but you're going to get there. And there's a few quotes that the students kind of come out with that we've got here. I'll never be able to do this, it's hard. She always gets it right because she's really clever. Well, those are statements we want to kind of remove. We want to get them through that idea of, actually, this is the moment now. Actually, yet. You can't do it yet. You're not no good at maths. You're yet to improve on that particular area. It's a really powerful kind of message, I think. So the top 5 rules, I think, for success in learning to take away, possibly to talk to your students, to your daughters about, is to stay organised. That's a critical component. Make sure they've got things ready for the following day. Involve yourself in the learning. Make sure that you put your foot forward. You do opt in. You don't settle. And that's in the sense of not settling for, what you can do, just about. I want to push to that power of yet again. I want to keep trying. Encourage that. Sometimes it's hard, isn't it? Keep trying at that. Eventually you'll get there. Then finally, enjoy it. Sometimes when it's hard, it's difficult to see that. But when you see that success at the end, that enjoyment is reflected. Sometimes the students who struggle with a particular task look back at those moments and when they finally get it, and you see that little wry smile, they've been a little bit disappointed. They don't want to show that that kind of that enjoyment, and that little kind of grin comes through, and that's what kind of really makes it worthwhile, and that's what our teaching and learning really wants to push forward. We want to break through those barriers. Follow these and you can't really go too far wrong. And that's all I kind of wanted to say on teaching and learning. And I appreciate we've got a fantastic kind of spot now for Miss Morgan to take on literacy, which is a big part of that. So thank you very much.
Hello, I am Claire Walger. I am the Director of Literacy at Haysfield. I'm going to give you a very whistle-stop tour tonight. One of the reasons I did do a handout is because it's quite a lot of information. I want to focus on the exciting bits that we do as a school, because if we're honest, we look at that word literacy, might have links in it from sort of primary school, it seems quite dry. And actually at Haysfield, one of the things we're really good at doing is looking at that in terms of what it actually fully encompasses. So yes, it is the reading, yes, it is the writing, yes, it is the spelling, yes, it is the grammar. But it is so much more than that. It's about, when we talk about those GCSE results, and you've seen Mr. White's put those up earlier, actually what we're looking at as well is the communication aspect. We want our girls and our students here to go out into the world and be very, very confident in their communication. And that comes from them being able to break text down, not just spell correctly or just read for meaning, but actually read for inference and challenge what they're reading as well. In a world where they are being hit by things like fake news and stories and social media feeds, they have to be critical thinkers. And it all ties in with literacy. And when we're talking about those values as well, the Haysfield School values, they're with literacy there as well, and I will talk you through that as we go. So one of our key things, a simple strategy that actually we brought in last year, was book in a bag, and it's easy. Every single Haysfield student from year 7 to 11, and also sixth formers, have a reading book in their bag every day. Now, this isn't punitive. It should never be that reading is linked to punishment, or if you don't have a book in your bag, then you're going to get really told off. That's not what it's about. What it's about is our students coming in, getting their books out during tutor, showing that they've got a reading book, and if they haven't, it's then our role as a school to make sure that they have access to reading. Now, behind me on the board, you can see pictures of last year. Every week in the bulletin, we put a different person in with their current read. And what is really good about this is that I can bang on until the cows come home about how wonderful reading is and how much I love reading. But when the girls see each other and they see what one another are reading, that's what influences them to read. And it really does have that sort of almost domino effect. And one of the amazing things last year was with our older classes, year 10, year 11, they started to get back into reading. And it is, I think, because they were looking and they were talking about their books. Every English lesson starts with 5 minutes of silent reading. When they come in, they know to get their reading book out. It's out on the table, they read for 5 minutes. We might have a quick chat about the books that they're reading in our English classes, and it's just there. So it's so useful, and what it means is that if they are late for the bus, or if they miss the bus, or if you're late picking them up from school, rather than wasting hours on a mobile phone, if they've got a book in their bag, they're ready to read, and they can take one from school. We've got plenty in the bookery. We've got plenty at Broomhays reception as well. So our overarching strategies with literacy, we want to give students a voice. We want them to go out into the world and be clear, confident communicators. We've got to foster a love of reading. We are passionate as colleagues here. We love reading. We talk to them about books, and it's so important. We're also teaching them about audience. We're teaching them about purpose. And it is a joint effort across the school. I am flying over these because I've touched upon them on this sheet here, but one of the things we introduced last year with Year 7 was bedrock vocabulary, and that feeds into their homework. It is their homework for English, and it teaches them different words, and it's very much tiered and tailored to the student. So it might be that you hear your daughter talking about bedrock. If she does, there's information there on it on the sheet, but it is about improving and developing what's called Tier 2 vocabulary, which is the more academic vocabulary seen more commonly in reading and writing, not necessarily used in spoken language. So that is a strategy we've got there. In addition to that, every single subject teacher this year knows that they are conscious of just their subject language that they are talking about, but also not to take for granted words that we are teaching them. For example, things like evaluate and analyse and methodology. It's interesting when you look at how those words are used in subjects, they don't always ask the student to do the same thing. So based upon this, our staff here know, actually sometimes don't take for granted that a student knows the word. If they put up their hand and ask a question about a word, look it up. Talk to them about the meanings, look at the root of language, get them interested in why things are what they are, look at different language, look at different cultures, look at how it's influenced. Another scheme that we run is the Accelerated Reading Scheme. This has been running ever since I started at Haysfield, actually. It's been running for a long time. I do lead on this. We use Accelerated Reader to make sure that Year 7 and 8 are being recognised for their reading, but it is also supportive. So the idea is that a student will read a book, and then they sit a quiz on the book that they have read. If they should quiz sort of straight away after finishing the book or as soon as possible. Accelerated Reader doesn't work at the weekends, but does during the weeknights. They do a quiz, they pass the quiz, we give them house points, we celebrate their reading progress, and we are able to then, as a team of AR teachers, monitor, or accelerated reading teachers, monitor that they are reading regularly. And really, some of the girls get stuck in a reading rut, so they're not sure what to go for. This helps us to look at the books that are available to them, but also we've got, reading ages information has come out from our reading test that we did back in June, but we're also retesting as well. And we use that information to help them find books that they are going to enjoy, because reading is about enjoyment, but also that are going to challenge and stretch them in terms of their reading, make sure that they are reading different texts, different genres, and really give them that sort of incentive with the house points. So it's linked in there. And as I've said, it's important because it's not just in English. Literacy is not an English thing. Okay, it's not solely in the English, it's across the school, and it is really, really important that we make sure those girls are supported in developing a reading age that matches their chronological reading age, because when they come to GCSEs, those questions are going to ask them for things that they need to understand, and the only way they're going to understand that is if they can read that and understand it with their reading age. So that's not the only reason it's important, but obviously this is in all subjects, they need to be able to access those exam papers. But for me, and this is, I think, the real pull with reading, it is so much about the pastoral link. We know that reading develops empathy. I had a chat with my new Year 7 class today, and they said, one of them put their hand up, there's a book that they're reading at the moment. She said, oh, I'm reading this book called Heartstopper, miss. And what she said about that is that we talked about that, why that's important. And it's about developing different perspectives, looking at different ideas, different identities, exploring that and talking about that through the power of literature. And it is so powerful. Just as many studies have been released that show the link between reading and developing strong empathy skills, as there have been about how reading develops vocabulary in that sense as well. So it's something we focus on. It's in the tutor system. So each week, your daughter will be doing a literacy session. That doesn't mean she sits and reads silently during that literacy session. She does have 10 minutes of silent reading at the beginning. And then the sessions are tailored towards what's going on in the tutorial programme. If there's been an event in the news and there's a text on it, I give it to them to read and discuss. And we don't shy away. It links in with, we've spoken about PSHE earlier. Books are powerful because our students and we all as a society are constantly comparing ourselves to other people. And your daughters are growing up in a world where they've got Instagram, they've got social media, they are looking at those polished photos where there's a million filters on it or whatever it is that they do, and it's not giving them a realistic, they're not comparing themselves and understanding a realistic impression, they are looking at something that is essentially fake. Whereas with books, I think the most powerful thing is that when we look at characters, they never go from point A to B in a straight line. There's always this kind of squiggle, it's confused, it's a bit convoluted, and our students need to see that, because that's when we start talking about the moral courage, the resilience, the self-confidence. That's where they see those things actually written down, and it's a far better example to give them, and it's a comforting example, and it helps them navigate those sort of bumps and hurdles that are inevitable and are actually a really important part of their school journey with us. So a little quote there, so visiting things, reading opens doors, it opens communication, it builds empathy. So what do we want to achieve? We're passionate about reading. We want to continue to foster the love. We want to challenge that reading drop-off that happens between primary and secondary school nationally. We want to develop those literacy skills so that they can go away and they can write for different audiences and different purposes. We want them to see different perspectives. We want them to look at different cultures and imagine where they might go after school. Think about different countries they might like to visit. Okay, I've never been to India. I read a book about India. I'm now desperate to go. It's that kind of thing. It opens their minds, and that's in our heads as we're going through. There are obstacles to regular reading, phones being one of the biggest ones. Also, it's seen as uncool. I don't think it is so much at Haysfield now. It's becoming less. I'm noticing that over the last few years. Actually, they love the bookery, and I love seeing them walking down the corridor. There's a real reading ethos here in this school, and actually, so that one isn't such a problem. Better things to do, not sure what to read, parental encouragement and inexperienced readers. I would also put lack of reading confidence. If they don't feel confident with reading, that can actually present itself as one of those things that you see behind me, but really it's masking the fact that they feel that they're not good at reading, which is again where we have a team of supportive staff, tutors, accelerated reading teachers, we have English teachers, we have conversations with them about it. And often with those girls, no one finds reading boring. It's a well sort of versed expression, but they haven't found the right book. And it's our duty to make sure that they do find the right book, and we are compelled to do that. Please do with your daughter, encourage her to read, talk to her about what she's reading. If your daughter is struggling with reading, it might be that reading together, there is nothing wrong still, I don't think, with sharing a story and doing a little bit of bedtime story. We're going to be doing that next week. I'm going to talk to you about Roald Dahl Day very quickly on Tuesday the 13th. We read stories with the girls here in the bookery. They absolutely love it. One of the music teachers last year read an extract from the Twits. It was brilliant. Another teacher did a little reading session with her son. They love sharing stories, and there is still a place in secondary school. It doesn't matter if they're year 7 or they're year 11 or year 12 or year 13, they love to have a story. So don't think that stops now because they've started secondary school and they're all really big. It doesn't, okay? I think it's as important, if not more important than before. Touch briefly on this. I'm going to have a little plug. This is in the school bulletin. Tuesday is Roald Dahl Day. It is not a dress-up day, you'll be pleased to know, so you don't have to, in 3 days, suddenly prepare a costume, although we do that for World Book Day. It's optional. However, we are having a little nod to this with some story sharing from staff in the bookery, which is our school library. And if they've got a favourite Roald Dahl story, they are welcome to bring that along with them. If they have any props, please don't go away and feel like you've got to do anything or get anything for this. This is just if they have, it's not necessary. If they've got anything like big ears or anything they want to put on to celebrate that, that's brilliant. Our staff will be having a think about it as well. And just before I let you go, we do a lot of events with reading in the school, and another one that we have got booked, as I'm sure many of you are aware, the Bath Literature Festival is on at the moment. A favourite author of Haysfield girls, and I'm sure some of your daughters may have mentioned about her already, is Robin Stevens. She writes the Murder Most Unladylike series. It's brilliant. She is giving a talk on Saturday the 1st of October in the Forum at 2:30. I'm going to be there. I'm trying to make sure that I'm advertising it with school, with students. We've emailed Bath Box Office and got a link which we've put in the school bulletin. Tickets are £9 per head, but we thought a nice thing to do would be to just put the link there so that if your daughter would like to go or you would like to go, you've got the option of going with whoever you want. It doesn't need to be from this school, it can be family members, it can be an outing. She is incredibly loved by our girls, so we're very, very excited. I think I'm as excited, possibly more excited than our students about that. But that's an option as well. And your daughter will also have this year an author visit at some point, so we do keep that going the whole way through. But hopefully the sheet gives you lots of information in terms of any questions you might have. There's also a reading section on the Haysfield curriculum on the website. Obviously I'll be around at the end as well if there's questions there. Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening. So I'm Mr. Dixon and I'm the Director of Achievement for Year 7. I'm working really closely with Mrs. Venables, the pastoral manager, who is just over there, and you will hear from a little bit more later on. Now, There's a few things that we want to really focus on talking about and going through just to make sure you've got that key information moving forward. So one aspect with that is around our home and school communication. So with that, we've got a number of different methods that we use for our communication. The two real key ones are looking at email and through our school website. On the top of the website, as I've put on the screen there, there's a banner that moves across which talks about a number of different events that are going on and just some real key information in the coming weeks. So if you're ever sort of wondering about a particular thing that you've heard your daughters talking about, it would be a good idea to check the school website for some more information on that. We will also be using a number of different aspects that I've listed on there. So planners, when we eventually are able to get them from our printers, they're a really good method to be able to communicate directly with your daughter's teachers or tutors, in particular to make sure that they've got some key messages that you would like to share with them. We've got our school bulletin, which comes out every Friday, and a number of parents often say it's quite lengthy, but as staff we see that as a real positive thing because it shows off all of those really, really special and important events that we've got going on during the school on a daily basis almost. We have the Sims Parent app, and I know you're going to hear a little bit more about that later on in the talk. We, of course, have phone conversations and in-person meetings where appropriate. When I'm talking about the meetings, it's really important for any member of staff here that you're able to book that in advance because it's more likely than not that we wouldn't be able to meet at the time if you were just to turn up in person. We also use Twitter and we use YouTube. So this, as you can see, this evening is being filmed and ready to go out for any parents who weren't able to attend, but a number of our different other events are able to be recorded to go onto our private YouTube channel. I've put a bullet point on there around attendance because that's really obviously a very important one. We have two different methods to report if your daughter is absent for any reason. That is around the email address which is on the screen right now, so the s.absence@haysfield.com. And we also have, if you phone in on the normal school number, there is a line to be able to get through to report that absence and for it to go to the right team. We will also be asking your tutors in the next couple of weeks to send an initial email just to introduce themselves, just to give you a bit more information about them, and actually that's really, really important because we would expect them to be your first port of call for many different aspects. And that leads me nicely onto our next slide, where we're looking at that kind of those layers that we would go through in terms of that communication. So ideally, in most circumstances, if you were after contacting either your daughter's tutor or maybe their class teacher, the best case scenario is to email into the information@haysfield.com email address. That's our central email account, which then can ensure that that information goes to the right people, because you might not necessarily get the name of that teacher or the tutor that you're after. The next layer on top of that is looking at our pastoral team, so Mrs. Venables and myself. My focus is more around the achievement and the progress side of things, and Mrs. Venables is more around the pastoral and well-being side of things. But of course, there are many different aspects that overlap between the two, so we work very closely together. Also, I've popped on there around the heads of faculties, but it's also important to include the heads of subject in that. And if there is a concern or a question around a particular subject, it would be really beneficial to focus that question towards them in particular. And as I've put on the slide there, contact details are available on the school website, so you'll be able to make contact with them. And then, of course, we would have the senior leadership team who we would work with internally to be able to support any questions or any concerns that you might have. Now, I'm sure if you haven't already been badgered relentlessly for a mobile phone, you will be very, very soon. And I know how important it can be for the girls, but also for your peace of mind now that they are at secondary school and perhaps they're making their own way to school in the mornings, making their own way home in the afternoons. Our key rule around our mobile phones whilst they're in school in the younger year groups is that we expect them to be turned off and in their bags between the hours of 8:30 and 3:15. So whilst they're in tutor, whilst they're in lessons. We don't want them looking down seeing what's happening on TikTok rather than having that opportunity to have a conversation with someone who's sat opposite them whilst they're eating dinner. We do have the occasional wobble with that with the girls, and they like to try and forget every now and then, but it's really key that that positive message is reinforced at home, because we know that you want that quick text before they get into school in the morning, and maybe that text on their way home just saying how the day had been. So if we could obviously reinforce that with them at home. So the next part, we're going to look at some of those challenges that we may have encountered, and in fact probably a lot of them already have encountered as you've experienced the end of year 6 and SATs and everything that comes with that process. And the key part, and especially in the previous 2 years before that, the key part that we've really seen with our young people at the moment is around that perseverance. And that's really something that we value very highly here at Haysfield, and that's why we always talk to the girls about, in any kind of process that you're running through, whether it is practicing as part of a sports team, whether that is practicing a musical instrument, we always talk about practice making perfect. You're never going to get everything right first time. You're going to get better at things the more you attempt that. So I know earlier on we were talking around teaching and learning and how we can get better in lessons. That's where that link, we try to obviously draw that across the two. But we also look at how we can reward that perseverance, that effort, that progress that they are making in lessons. So every term we have achievement assemblies which celebrate different aspects at different times, but looking at how we can celebrate not just the attainment, but the other side, which are essential in their journey through secondary school. And that perseverance also links to the challenges that they might face at different times. Now, I'm sure lots of those challenges you've already experienced in their first few days at Haysfield and towards the end of the summer. They're going to be worried about things. They're going to find things difficult. But that work between us and yourselves at home, being able to support each other with that, will make things easier going forwards. We would love to obviously say that none of these things are ever going to happen, but we all know that we've probably already experienced them quite early on. So things that you can expect from us to help with that. We create that environment where our girls feel that they belong and they are part of that Haysfield community. That safe learning environment where they are prepared to take risks. They are prepared to put their head out there and not afraid to get things wrong. And with those mistakes, actually we all know that they learn so much more from them. I've talked already about rewarding effort alongside ability, and that's something that we celebrate as much as possible. And there are so many different opportunities for both emotional and personal development. Across the whole of the school, we have over 500 leadership opportunities available to the girls and the boys in sixth form. So there are many, many opportunities for your daughters to become involved in different things that they might not have ever considered before. And that links to that limitless aspirations in terms of actually, can we smash that ceiling? Can we go one step further than they thought they were going to be able to? And of course, linking to having your daughter's best interests in the decisions that we make to be able to support her. There we go. So just a few things that we would request, and obviously I know that that's something that you would want from us too. And it's looking at the trust between us. Trust that we know what we're doing with the different situations, that we've seen many of these situations before, and we've got really stringent plans and processes to be able to support with that. And of course, if something does happen, the time to be able to deal with it, the time to be able to come to an effective answer, to be able to support and make sure that we make the right decision going forwards. And of course that teamwork between us, which I've already touched on earlier. And then the last bit for me is overcoming some challenges and building resilience. We've already had to start that process in terms of our planners not being available at the moment. And I know that you will have had a lot of contact from the school early on in terms of emails with letters attached. But moving forwards, these are the key real aspects that we want to start seeing more and more in your daughters. And we're seeing so much of it already. But we do obviously want them to be loving their learning. And the key part also is then linking to that and seeking those challenges, but not seeing actually that if something is being challenging, not seeing it as a threat. Making sure that we see that effort in lessons, and when we see that effort, we will reward it. And of course, being able to persist in the face of those challenges, because when we come back to the part I said earlier around practice makes perfect, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be plain sailing. It's not going to be tick everything off first time. But the more that we support each other and work through that, the more that we can make sure that that is a really positive process going forwards. Now that is everything for me, so I'm just going to pass over to Mrs. Venables now, who's going to talk to you about some really exciting opportunities.
Hello, lovely to see you all. I have two hats. I wear two hats in school. I have two roles, one of them being the transition coordinator from Year 6 into Year 7, and the other is I am your daughter's pastoral manager for Year 7 as well. And they kind of go very well hand in hand. I'm always, we start our evenings. I know that you've been spoken to about a lot of academic success and academic rigour and how your daughter learns, but equally we totally value the fact that that learning can only happen if your daughter is in a good place emotionally to be able to do that, and that's why that's equally as important, if not more so in my book. One of the things that we don't have is a one-size-fits-all transition process, but what we do have are stages within our transition process, and the next thing that we're looking forward to, obviously transition process started months and months and months ago. We're now coming into the nubbings of the nitty-gritty of it happening and forging those links and setting the tone for what's going to be your daughter's year group, their cohort, and how they become part of the Haysfield family and that sense of belonging. So we are going to go to Greatwood. That is a residential trip that happens in October, from the 10th to the 14th of October. Hopefully over the next couple of days, probably into next week now, you're going to get a letter, an operational letter, which is basically is going to give you all the information that you need to find out about the costings, how do you pay, what does your daughter need to take with her, when is she going, how does it all work, all the logistics of it. So this is just a little brief overview from me. So we're going to Bridgewater, deepest, darkest Somerset, in the middle of the woods. There's no connection there. Well, the Wi-Fi and anything like that is awful, which is no bad thing. And we are going that week. So these are the dates that your daughter's going. So I don't know whether you want to pencil them in or take a photograph. We take them in alphabetical order. So we've got Austin going on the Monday and finishing off with Sharman House, who will be going on the Thursday. They will leave at 8:30 in the morning and come back by about 7 o'clock. I think it's about 7 o'clock the following evening for you to be able to pick up with all their muddy clothes. So whilst we're there, we'll be doing lots of sort of activities around trust and bonding. There won't be any high-risk activities. It's very much about being teamwork, solutions, problem solving, together as a group, getting to know each other, getting to know our tutors better. We take our sixth formers with us who went to Greatwood when they were in Year 7 and want to spend that time with our younger students to be able to enjoy that time with them and how important it is, because the sixth formers still talk about their time at Greatwood and how amazing it was. The Greatwood team are really, really good. We've worked with them for many years. They've worked with us. They know how we work. And it's an expectation that your daughter will go. There's no real reason for her not to go. And we can accommodate everybody differently. It might be different. One of the things that I'm very aware of is that this year group, your daughter's year group, is still quite delicate from everything that they've experienced over the last 2 or 3 years. And the information that we've received from our primary schools has identified that 1 in 3, we've looked at it, about 1 in 3 of the girls that are with us in Year 7, that's 240 of them, have some kind of anxiety around school and things that are school-based or just life in general. We're very, very aware of that, and that's taken into consideration when we do these activities in order for the students to know that they can actually get through this and power through it. Okay, and I think... Oh yes, that is from me. I am around. Do communicate, as Mr. Dixon has said. It's really, really important to stay in touch. Yes, and trust, time and teamwork. Fabulous. Thank you very much.
I'm going to talk really fast because I'm aware you've been sat there for a long time. I apologise. You can tell how enthusiastic we are. We want to talk to you all. We want to tell you everything. But actually, I am aware it's been a long evening and a long week for you. My name is Jane Eaton. I'm Deputy Head Teacher and I'm in charge of pastoral care. And I'm also the designated safeguarding lead. When things go really, really wrong, you may want to contact me or one of my team. Hopefully you won't need to do that. I'm going to talk to you very briefly about our behaviour support and rewards policy. Basically, we've got this pyramid. Top of the pyramid is every student in the school will receive loads and loads and loads of rewards. Loads. That's what we want. Some students in the school will need some support from us. And that's the kind of underpinning part there. Not all. If the students need support, we'll put that support in. We make it very bespoke, and it will be there as needed. Very few, particularly very few of your daughters, will need any sanctions from us, I'm sure. Hopefully up till Christmas anyway. But we do know that sometimes we do need to sanction. We need to help children to get it right. They are children. They will get things wrong. And sometimes we just need to help manoeuvre them to make the right decisions and to get it right. What makes the Haysfield Girls so great? These things are what makes the Haysfield Girls so great. These are our values. This is what we base everything we do on. We base our reward system, our support system, and our behaviour system on these values. So we've got the readiness and respect, which is our HG1, Haysfield Girl 1 value. We want all our girls to be ready for learning, ready first thing in the morning, get them ready, get them in and get them learning. If they're not ready for learning, they're not going to be successful. We help to get them ready for learning. We've got HG2 is moral courage. We'll be testing on these later. HG3 self-confidence, HG4 resilience, and Haysfield Girl 5 limitless aspirations. That's what we're all about. And they're also then based around the lower four ones, the last four, are based around our houses. So they're based around our inspirational women. These inspirational women. So we link these through to, so your daughter's not just in any random house, they're in a house because those are inspirational women and we want the girls to know about them. So we've got Earhart, Sharman, Austin and Parks. Women that have made a huge difference in history. Our support system for those girls that need it, which won't be everybody, but our support system is there for when it's required. That could be supportive friends. Our girls are very good at supporting each other. Could be mentors. That could be peer mentors, sixth form mentors, or staff mentors. It could be their tutors are definitely there to support them. The pastoral team, we're very busy supporting our students. Our school counsellors, we have 2 school counsellors who come in 1 day a week and work with our girls. And then we bring in external agencies as well. We have some agencies that come in and work with our year 7 and 8 students in groups and one-to-one to help them. Those girls that just need a little bit of extra. We've got lots and lots of external agencies that we work with who do so many things I can't tell you right now, but they are on our wellbeing offer, which is on our website. Have a little look at that. And we make sure we get the right support for what your daughter will need at the right time. I don't need to talk to you about this. This is the detention system. You don't need to know this. They won't need a detention. But if they did, we have this system, really good, very quick system, a very satisfactory system for the girls because it's quick. So if your daughter does something wrong in a lesson, we will try to get it right. If they continue to do it wrong, we might give them a warning. If they continue to do it wrong, that's not going to happen. But we may then give them what we call an HG1. So an HG1 means they've maybe not been respectful. Maybe they've been late, maybe they've not been trying to do their work, or they've been messing about a little bit. Not bad enough to give them a really serious detention or anything, but they might have been just a little bit, and we've tried to put that right and they're just not getting it. Seriously, this will not happen to your daughters for a little while. It may be later in the school year, but it won't happen for a little while. But what we do is we do this great detention system where they do a 15-minute detention today. I've done something wrong today. I was given lots of opportunities to get it right and I didn't. I've done something wrong today. I'm going to have to stay for 15 minutes after school today. And then it's done. We draw the line. We never talk about it again. We move on. That's really important for children to know that kind of forgiveness is there. You can make a mistake, you serve a sanction, we then all move on from it. And that's, I think, really helpful for the girls. Again, you won't need to know much about this right now, but maybe later on. We then have an hour detention, which we also give for students who maybe are not showing are showing a lack of moral courage. So students that aren't doing the right thing repeatedly, or aren't forgetting homework repeatedly, or are doing, just not getting it right. And we want to help them get it right. And sometimes the only way we can do that is by putting a sanction in. It's a shame, but sometimes that's the only way that they will learn. So we have an hour detention, which is on a Friday evening. Again, you don't need to worry about these. It's not going to happen for a long time, but they're there for when we need them. I don't even need to talk to you about this because your daughters have looked fantastic this week. I'm sure other people have already said this to you. They look amazing. Those shiny shoes, I've never seen shinier shoes in my life. They look lovely. We do have these uniform expectations. We're not ashamed of this. We want them to be proud of being a Haysfield girl, and we will continue to push that with them. If they get it wrong and they forget their blazer, we'll lend them a blazer. If they wear the wrong shoes, we lend them the right shoes. If they make a hole in their tights, we give them a new pair of tights. We try to help them to get it right. We spend a lot of money on tights, shoes and uniform. We have a room on each site that's full of uniform. Some of it's second-hand, some of it's new, and we make sure that we give them whatever they need. We want them to be proud of their uniform, be proud of being a Haysfield girl. We also very much care about the fact that they all look the same, so we don't want them coming in with the cool, trendy trainers. We want them to be in the right school shoes, and if they can't wear the right school shoes, we will lend them a pair until they can. So we make sure we get that right. So that tutor time in the morning is our time for getting that right. So please don't worry if your daughter forgets her blazer, which she will, I promise you she will, or if she forgets something that's important and she needs it, we will sort that out. We will make sure during her tutor time that she is ready and respectful and ready to learn. And that's part of our main goal here. Okay, I'm going to pass you now to Mr. Morris.
Good evening, everybody. I'll try and be brief, but there's some really important stuff that we want to talk about. I get to do the fun stuff. I haven't clicked on my PowerPoint yet. In January, you had to make a choice. You had to go on that website, you had to click on what your options were. We're oversubscribed. We've got more people wanting to come to this school than we can actually fit in, which is a really powerful and strong position to be in. There's a number of reasons for that. You've already been told about our wonderful academic results. On average, your daughter will get a grade better here than she will at any other school. But it's more than that. There are a number of people in the audience that may have chosen to make the painful financial decision to send their daughter private. And there may be some people who are locked into Haysfield because of the location that they live in. You've made the right choice. I can talk about that from a range of different experiences that I've had. But Haysfield offers an enormous amount of opportunity for your daughter. I recognise some faces from open evenings last year and from some of the show-arounds towards the end of last year as well. And it's great that you're here. It's great that your daughter's here, and already they're starting to demonstrate their own character before we embellish and sort of layer on what we can do as well. How do we do it? We use the values, as Mrs. Eaton and probably Mr. White has already discussed, but we give them a character journey. At every staging point throughout their time at Haysfield, what they will do is they will be given opportunities to thrive and opportunities to shine. We'll talk about leadership opportunities. We've mentioned briefly rewards, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well in a moment. I've got multiple different hats, whether that be trips and visits, whether that be enrichment week, whether that be extracurricular activities through our LEAP programme, whether that be the houses, whether that be student leadership, that's me. So all of those things fall under my remit and my banner. And it affords me the opportunity to see your daughter in a whole host of different ways. Sometimes fun, sometimes challenging, but always interesting, I can assure you of that. Okay, we want your daughter to get involved. That's a big thing. You're going to hear a little bit about LEAP in the moment, with our extracurricular activity and how many clubs we've got. We want her to take the chances that are out there. We want her to get as involved as possible. Encourage her to do that, challenge her to do that, and see how she grows. Some of them have already stood up in front of their peers, classmates that they've had for a couple of days, and made speeches for leadership positions this week. And they will come along, I'm this, and I'm that, and I'm the sports rep. Isn't that brilliant? They've been voted in by their peers that they've known for 2 days because their peers believe that they're the right person for that job. That's your daughter, that is. Well done. Okay. We look at opportunities to catch them doing the right thing. So catching them, showing and demonstrating character. Now, when the planners do arrive, there will be a page in there with regards to the Haysfield Character Award. Our 5 values, 8 opportunities. 8 demonstrations of them choosing to do the right thing above and beyond, whether that be in resilience, whether that be in moral courage, whether that be in limitless aspirations. If they demonstrate it and get it acknowledged on 8 occasions, and they get 8 stickers for each of the values, so 40 times with my basic maths, they get the Haysfield Character Award. And we have students walking around the school in year 9 and year 10 still with their year 7 Character Award. And we do that for each year. We've got special and different badges. And it's really, really good. And they feel such a sense of achievement when they're handed them by their Director of Achievement and their Pastoral Manager. It really is something that they're choosing to do the right thing and choosing to embrace these opportunities. Student leadership. Mr. Dixon has already mentioned it, but we have 500 leadership opportunities at Haysfield. Over 500. So for 1,500 students, your daughter's got a 1 in 3 chance of having a seat at the table where the conversation is taking place. And they become these conduits of information. They listen to their tutor group, they pass that on through a meeting, they look at how the decisions are made, and then they pass that information back on as well. What a thing to do as a year 7. But these positions will be reallocated in year 8, year 9, year 10. So if she's not quite got there yet, don't worry. Maybe it's not her time yet. Maybe she's not got the confidence quite yet. But she'll develop that over the course of this year, I've no doubt, and certainly over the course of her time at Haysfield. Those are examples of some of the student leadership opportunities that are out there. She may be a climate committee rep. She may be an anti-bullying ambassador. You know, we talk about the value of these roles. And what we're doing is we're increasing the levels of communication. We just want them to talk to each other. And it's okay not to feel okay, but we want to give them opportunity to talk to somebody about that. They could be school magazine editors, they could be a captain of a sports team, or they could be part of the school council. We value student voice. We listen to the students. We really, really do. We don't always agree on everything, and sometimes we meet in the middle. I'm sure it's like that at home as well. But we've got to hear them, because unfortunately I have never been an 11-year-old girl. So I don't know quite what it's like. I know it's shocking, you wouldn't believe it, would you? But we need to know what their experiences are. And although we've got experience, we know that theirs is slightly different because of what they've been through over the course of the last 2 and 3 years. And children are changing. Not like this in my day. Okay? And we've got to go with that. Rewards and recognition. A reward is only worth the value that we assign to it. So a certificate that you got for your obstacle race when you were in year 6 at primary school that you've still got in that trinket box up in the attic, yeah? Or maybe a medal that probably only cost about £2 that you've still got. It's what we assign to it. And we keep these things because they're valuable to us, because they evoke memories. Now, we send home, we will acknowledge your daughter's achievements. And if she does something outside of school, please let your daughter's tutor know. If she's involved or engaged in something, we're not telepathic. You need to let us know, and we will celebrate that. Maybe it will be in tutor time. Maybe it will be worthy of going in the bulletin on a Friday afternoon. But we want to acknowledge the fact that your daughter is doing so many wonderful things. Her work may be displayed. Some of your daughters will have come home with house points. Now, those would normally get stuck into their planners, and at the moment you've probably got a water bottle with a few of them on already, because that's what they're doing. It's an acknowledgement of the fact that they're making a really good impression. Celebrate that, because if you give it value, they're going to value it more. You go, oh, what? What for? How? Engage in that conversation and make that reward even more valuable. Postcards. Postcards are worth house points. Not a lot of people know this, but if you get a postcard, if they get a postcard through one of our purple post boxes, that's worth 5 house points. but them taking it home and it says resilient, and it's got a note on the back from a member of staff, and it's addressed to them, and they come home and they show that to you. Imagine how powerful that is. That somebody's taken the time to sit and write, not just in a book, but go and get a postcard, write it down, give it to them, go, I'm proud of you. You did that. Give it value. If you give it value, they're going to want and need it even more. They might even get to have hot chocolate with a head teacher. Wow. His favourite mornings, I tell you. It is, honestly, he's genuinely enthusiastic. All right. I want to move forward because I want to talk about this big beast. And that's our extracurricular programme. We are unique in the fact that we have a compulsory extracurricular programme. The benefits of that we can talk about Enrichment Week, and we can talk about Intervention Week. To all intents and purposes, because your daughters, and I'm letting the cat out of the bag here, because your daughters engage with LEAP as an extracurricular activity, they actually get an additional week in the summer. So they will break up a week earlier than the vast majority of schools in the area. Okay? That's important for you to know. But that's part of the commitment and part of the contract. So the hours that they fulfil through the course of the year leads to additional learning, which then in turn equates to that week. Does that make sense? If you've got any questions, please let me know at the end. It really is a vital facet of what we do. And this year, I've just been collating it. We've got 90 clubs on offer. Now, not all of those are open to Year 7, but I think it's about 46. There's 46 clubs your daughter can join per week. That's what I'm talking about. You made a really good choice. And you show me any other state school in the area, or probably in the southwest, that offers that for Year 7 girls. In Year 11, it goes up to 48. You know, this is huge. And these are members of staff who are taking additional hours after school to offer these opportunities. And there's some really, really interesting stuff out there. And we'll talk about that in a minute. It's a chance to seek character. It's a chance for them to put themselves outside their comfort zone. And some of them will do things that they're interested in anyway, but some of them will do 2 or 3 clubs a week, 4 clubs a week. They can do as many as they want. There's no limit to how many they can do. Okay. That is an example of some of the things that are available this year, whether it be photography club or gardening for the future. There's a theatre production that they can sign up for. Bullet journaling, Minecraft and computer games, being part of the school magazine, being part of a sports team. Part of the 46 clubs that are available to them this year. Okay, this is the big one. How you register. Now, you've probably been emailed and lettered to death over the course of the last few weeks. And you will have got one with regards to signing up to Schools Buddy this week as well. If you haven't activated yet, please do that. I appeal to you, your better nature. Just get it done. It's really quite simple. And if you want to get the app, which will make life even simpler, you can do that as well. It's on the App Store and it's on Android as well. You can go in via the school website, and in the booklets that will be on the website as well, you can access it, because I will put the hyperlink in there as well. A couple of things that you need to know. If your daughter does a club outside of school, and I've given this example up at the other talk, if your daughter goes to Baskervilles and does 4 nights a week, or goes to Guides and does a football club and goes and does something else outside of school, that gets credited too. And you log that as an external extracurricular activity. Okay? She has to do at least 1 club per week, but if she's doing things outside, that counts as a club too. If you don't let us know, we can't credit her with it, and therefore, after a period of time, if she's not engaged with the process, you'll get a letter home saying she's at risk of being invited into Intervention Week, which is that week in the summer. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. But if she's doing loads of stuff and you haven't told us, it's a relatively simple fix, but you know, the telepathy doesn't work all the time. Just let us know. Please, please, please log in, acknowledge it. That's really important. Okay. The bottom one is an important one as well. Okay, I'm going to give you a hypothetical. It's a Thursday and you work late. Clearly you don't need additional childcare, but let's say you need her to stay after school on a Thursday. Okay. If you pick one club on a Thursday, all of our clubs have limits for health and safety reasons and a whole lot, maybe it's resources. And that club is limited to 30, and 400 girls choose it. 370 girls are going to be disappointed. You need to rank order the clubs on a Thursday in order of preference. That's my first choice, that's my second choice, that's my third choice, that's my fourth choice. So if she doesn't get the first one, and it's done on a computer system, it's whiz bang and far too intelligent for me. If she doesn't get the first one, she might get the second one or the third one. So she's definitely going to be at school on Thursday after school when you need her to be after school on Thursday. Does that make sense? So please choose more than one. Okay? This is the important bit. Unlike Glastonbury, Mr. Archer, it's not first come, first served. Honestly, it's not first come, first served. It will go live on Monday afternoon, Monday the 12th of September at 5 p.m. It will close on Sunday the 18th of September at 23:59. Okay? You have that period to log the choices. It's then done random by preference. So you could have done your choices at 5:01 on Monday or at 23:58 on Sunday. They're given the same value. There's no time stamp to them. All right? The computer goes and it will spit it all out and it will tell me who's in which club. There may need to be some manipulation because some people haven't signed up or whatever else, but it will be random by preference. Follow the guide on the website, log into Schools Buddy, see what it says, and then hopefully those dates are now correct. They are, wonderful. And LEAP will start. So when it closes on the Sunday night, and I start to look at all the data, and we do the allocation, it's going to take me a couple of days to make sure that everything is correct and where it needs to be and all the clubs are full. So you will get notification by Thursday the 22nd of September. And your daughter's first set of clubs will be the week beginning Monday the 26th of September. I hope that all makes sense. There will be information in the bulletin tomorrow. You can read it at your discretion. Okay? We do it again in November, ready to start in January. We do it again just before Easter to start after Easter. So they do this for 12 weeks. And then if they didn't get their first choice, guess what? They might get it January, February, March. All right? We try and make it as fair as possible. The Year 7s, this is the last bit from me, I promise. The Year 7s, they're really lucky. Friday, week A, period 4 and 5, they get to do something called Masterclass. Loads of members of staff who are indulging their passion. Last year we did cycle maintenance and bike riding, we did weaving, we did Latin, we did Spanish, we did a Kickstarter, we did self-defense. So what happens is I've got 8 teachers who go, I'm going to offer this. And tomorrow afternoon your daughters are going to be in the hall at Broomhays and they're going to watch members of staff pitching for their business. All right? And you will get the chance to, or you will talk with them and you'll rank order which ones they fancy. And every week A, Friday afternoon, they'll go with that member of staff and they'll just go and do fun stuff. And they'll become really good at it. And one of the members of staff, and I really like this one, she's come up with an activity called Cook the Books. So she's going through the girls, she's talking with the girls, and they're looking through the recipes that are in some of the books that they read, the fun stuff that they read, and they're going to cook the recipes out of the books and then just do fun stuff and that they can come home and talk to you about. And I know we've got Minecraft worlds going on, and just a really broad and diverse things that are going to go ahead. And again, as I say, they do it for 2 terms and they change. It's a Friday afternoon, week A. All right? It'll be a similar system on how you sign up. Last one from me, I promise. A school's only as strong as the links that we all make together. So we want a really strong friend society and parent society. If you're interested in being part of that, please do email me, because I think that it's a trick that we're missing. I think there are a lot of parents who want to be involved in the life of the school, that see the value that it adds and want to give a little bit back, but also, as with the leadership positions, have a bit of a seat at the table, because we can take the temperature then about what's happening, and we want to know, because we want to get it right, and we want to make it even better. Thanks for listening. Sorry I've waffled on, those of you that want to watch the United game.
Hello, I'm Sophie Shano and I'm one of the assistant heads here. So I just want to talk to you really briefly about the parent app, the Sims parent app, and hopefully you have received a registration email for this. If you haven't in your inbox, can you please check in your spam folder, because there should be an email there. And please, firstly, can you accept that invitation? There are a number of ways to register. You can use the portal and you can also use the app, but we do suggest that you use Google or Microsoft as an email, as those are much easier to use, although it does give you the option to use things like Twitter and Facebook. We find that the app doesn't seem to work as well with those. So it's suggested really that you're using Google or Microsoft to sign up for those. They can be accessed, like I said, through the portal and also through the app, and you'll be able to get links to those from the school webpage, or certainly for the portal. On the school website, there are some really nice detailed kind of step-by-step guides on how to do this. And if you don't have a Google email, we do suggest maybe that it's set up just so that you're able to access this app. So what will you find on there? Well, you will be able to see the attendance, and like you can see that it will be a live attendance. Also things like homework, it's a way of us communicating with you. You'll be able to see your daughter's timetable, you'll be able to update contact details if perhaps you have a new telephone number or a new address, and also, most importantly, you'll be able to see all the achievement or the house points that they receive. We do have Tom Hiscott with us today, who is our data officer, and he will be in the open learning zone at the end of the evening if you have any questions, as he oversees the app, and he'll be able to help with any kind of difficulties that perhaps you've had in accessing that. So that's really the process. Hopefully you just should be able to get in quite easily. You will be familiar with some of the other apps that we use, and things like ParentPay, because you will have used those at primary school. But if there are any problems in accessing anything, please just contact us at school. Most importantly, it will sort of ask you when you log in to put in your Sims username. It's important that you just use the Google or the Microsoft password and email that you set the account up with. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a real whirlwind, I know, sorry. Lots and lots of information. As we said, this is being recorded. This will be available. The PowerPoint will be available to you to see. And any information you're unclear about, please get hold of us. We do send emails. Apologies, we try not to send too many, but sometimes we need to. We also need to phone you sometimes, and we will be a withheld number. So occasionally, we can't do anything about that. So please answer us if you can. What I tend to do is, if it goes straight to a voicemail, because you don't want to answer the withheld number, I go, "It's me, please answer, I'll call you back in 5 minutes." And usually then parents will answer me, but apologies about that. And we've already mentioned it a couple of times, several times, our bulletin. We try to put as much as we possibly can in our bulletin, so we are not sending you these random emails, because we know how busy everyone is. We do try to put everything in there. It is very long. You've been warned, it is very long, but it's great. And your daughter will be in there over and over again. We make sure of that we are as inclusive as we possibly can be. But it is long. We've all warned you that, I think, haven't we? It'll come out tomorrow evening, have loads of information on it, lots of links that you can just click to take you wherever you need to go, and lots of stuff for you. So please, keep in touch with us, be part of our Haysfield family, and we'll keep that contact going between us. I'm going to stop now because I can see you've had enough and it's been a long evening. Thank you so much again for coming. Thank you for that first step into the Haysfield family. And if you have any questions, we'll all be available up in the open learning area to answer them. Thank you.